What's up, Luka Nation? We're bringing you a special guest episode today. We're bringing back Buster Scher from Hoops Nation. Um, Buster was a real fun guest for us early on in the podcast, and we had to have him back. And I'm really thrilled to have him here. It's a perfect time to have Buster back on. We got basketball season starting up. That is Buster's passion. And we're going to talk to him about what he sees in the card market, what he sees, what's happened so far this year, what he sees going forward. Talk to him a little bit about Pokemon, some of the differences between the NBA and MLB, and a whole bunch of other great stuff. So, we thank you for tuning in today. We are lucky enough to have Buster. Thanks for listening.
Totally.
Age,
Yep.
would you do the honors this morning?
Yeah, man. I never get to kick us off. That's awesome. Luca's Tigers and Bronze, Luca Nation. We're back here, and I am excited to bring you Buster Scher again. We had him on once, and the podcast is in a real different spot than we were the first time we had him on. It's going to be heard by a whole bunch more people, and Buster was good enough to give us some time this morning to come back on at what I think is, if I could have picked a perfect time for Buster to come on the podcast and chat with us about all things going on in the hobby, today would have been that day. We got basketball about to ramp up, right? I think tomorrow starts the preseason games are going to start. We got Pokemon auctions going off like crazy. There's a Charizard on eBay that hit $300,000 this morning. And Buster is, the king of Charizard collectibles. And I mean, if I could have picked a perfect person to have on at a perfect time, we have it. So I'm excited to bring him for you. And Buster, welcome. Thank you, man.
Thank you for having me. I'm going for the back-to-back championship today. Yeah.
We love it. Well, listen, it's been a while since we had you on, and I normally don't lead the questioning, but I got to ask you. Give me something basketball, because I mean you are the basketball guy. I mean you know more about basketball than anybody that I know. Give me something that we're looking forward to with this coming season. It's a little crazy. It's not as crazy as last season with the split season, but give me something you're looking forward to with this basketball season. Just right off the bat, top of mind with the NBA.
Totally. So first things first, you're very kind. So far, I am the Charizard expert, Pokemon expert, and basketball. Whew, I got a lot to live up to.
Well, we bring on people like you who can, you're multi-talented, man. You're like Swiss
I
Army knife.
appreciate it. First things first, I'm really excited for this basketball season because we have a better sense of what's actually going to happen. We had our spike in January, February, March, really, and then, of this past year when cards really exploded across the board in every niche and every industry and every hobby and everything of that nature. And then we saw the dip when, Corona first happened, but then it spiked back up greater than ever, rose like a phoenix. And then the season ended and it came crashing back down.
Yep.
All of those things, there's going to be more of that. There will be more crashes in the middle of the season for individual players based on, how many national TV games they're getting or not getting, how, injuries, obviously every year, very big factor, especially in the basketball and football too space and all sports. But I'm most excited about this basketball season because the NBA knows exactly what they're doing, more from a holistic standpoint, because I think that affects the market at large a little bit more. The NBA is not going to shut down in the middle of the season. They're not allowing very many fans in games, and those that they do are going to be temperature checked. They're going to be very far from the players. It's not going to have that much impact. The NBA is so smart. I love Adam Silver to death. And I think that they have just done the most incredible job, and that's only going to continue. And the reason I say any of that is because it provides, positive reinforcement to the sports card market and the basketball market, because it thrives when the games are being played. You see the dip every offseason. And people said when cards went down, this past, October, November, leading into now where they're shooting back up, that, maybe it's not going to come back every year. Same thing. It never changes. Obviously there are a lot more new people in the hobby this year, but year in and year out, this does not change. When basketball is being played, it goes down. When it is being played, it goes up. But
it's an interesting phenomenon that you're talking about. Last year we had 2 off seasons basically during this year, right? Because we had the break and then this, so we had but you saw the same continuity, right? When it stopped, prices came down. As they were ramping back up, prices went back up. I mean, it's
same old story.
Yeah.
But I will say the best thing to do right now.
I love it. I can't wait. Everybody listen.
Buy Buster Scher card. Buy Luka. No. I would say, to go the best stuff, right? So LeBron Chrome 2003, it peaked at like 16, 17, went all the way down to like 8.5. Oh my God, everybody's freaking out, panic selling. And now it's creeping back up. It's at 13. I wouldn't say go out and buy all, the highest ticket items that you want ever. I don't want to be liable for your losses or your wins. But but I would say we're in like the middle of that graph that I just verbally depicted of LeBron being at 16, 17 and going down to 8.5, and now they're somewhere in the middle at 13. That's the case for a lot of things. So I would both take what's happened as another learning lesson, to know when to get in and not get in on some of those super high ticket legendary items, but also remember that all the great stuff of the great players, don't panic sell that kind of stuff. It won't do you any good. Whereas, for some of the younger guys, you can't necessarily say that, Zion is solidified in the same way that some dudes in Massachusetts at the Hall of Fame are. So,
right.
The
LeBron effect's pretty fascinating. So when he was in the East, all the free agents wanted to sign out West. LeBron went to the Lakers. All the free agents, they want to go to the East now. It's really interesting. The East is stacked this year. That's what I'm looking out for. The East, it might not have a great team like the Lakers now with Montrezl Harrell there, AD, LeBron. That's going to be a tough one to beat, but East is going to be really interesting. The fight for the 8th seeds is going to be, is it the Hawks, right? Do the Hawks finally get in and we see Trae in the playoffs? I think that's going to be a big story this year. So
I think a good thing going for Trae, and I preface everything that I say now with I own Trae Young cards. So I own a lot of Trae Young cards.
Who doesn't now, though?
But
that's the
everybody does. But you got to say it when you do, so people can take your opinion for what it's worth. He's just the 19th player in the NBA to get his own signature shoe. Adidas is going to be pushing him very hard this year. Granted, they don't have that many national TV games, but we all know that the real national TV is social media these days. So, I think Trae's got a lot going for him.
What do you make of that? What do you make of that? So after the playoffs came out, people were like, the ratings for the NBA are down. Is it because of their political stance? But really, you're someone who understands social media and content. They had, I think, like 5 billion impressions on social media. How do you, I'm sure you have these conversations a ton, right, Buster? How do you quantify that to people? How do you make them understand that it's not just about national televised games? It's not just about ratings on TV, like Nielsen ratings, I think they're called, but it's actually impressions and engagement on social media. That's what's driving the fandom of the sport.
Yeah, so like everything, it's a long-term game, right? So you could say that like sports like the MLB are doing great. People tune into TV and they are watching full games or whatever. But the reality of that is it's an older crowd that's sort of aging out, and because of their digital policies, they're not connecting and bringing new fans in. The NBA is at a turning point, right? Fewer and fewer people are watching TV. More and more people are subscribing to League Pass, their online digital paid service, which actually gets them a lot more money per customer than somebody, who pays for cable does, because of the way that it's broken down. They only get a small percentage of that. Whereas if you're buying League Pass, you're spending $250 straight to the NBA, no overhead because they own the product. Now, I think off of that, because of the NBA's stance on content, and as long as you're not directly conflicting with viewership and League Pass, you're promoting it. So unless you're literally live streaming their games and making money on it, you are doing good. You're doing great for League Pass and the league at large. So because of that, they have all of these micro communities. So that 5 billion number, that's what the NBA got on just their own profiles. Now you look at what SportsCenter got, what ESPN got, what Bleacher Report got, what Hoops Nation got, what all these different media outlets got, hundreds and billions more impressions. The NBA is by far and away the most socially viewed professional sports league in the United States, and it's not even a conversation. And that is what drives everything. That's what drives culture. It's why NBA players, make as much money as they do. If there wasn't a salary cap, they're making way more money than MLB players. And they're able to make a hell of a lot more money off the field because of the branding and the way that goes into things. And because of that, merch sales are going to be higher. The NBA is just in such an incredible position culturally and socially. And
so, Buster, I'm thinking about that from cards, right? And that's, so I love it. And you talked about this a little bit last time, but that is so much data that you just dropped, and it's all right. And I think really what I take from that is investing in basketball cards now is a safe place to go because the league is supporting it. The social media is supporting it. The guys you're investing in are going to be in your face, whether they're nationally televised or not. So my follow-up question for that is, why? Why doesn't the MLB do that? Is the sport just more conducive? The NBA sport, the dunks, the quick plays, is that more conducive to the clips? But talk to me.
I talked to Trevor Bauer, who just won the Cy Young Award, about this, and he said that in every Major League Baseball player's contract, there's actually a clause that says you essentially can't post your own highlights. You can't. You have to ask the MLB's permission to post anything, even if it's a photo of yourself.
Even if it's you taking the ball and throwing it over the fence like Trevor Bauer did, which is just awesome.
Technically, they don't enforce it, but you have to ask. It's suggested that you ask permission. And that's a player, let alone somebody else who's trying to make a micro community around it. So that's why they're not doing it. You know what I collect? Yep. I collect for every reason you just spoke about. I collect basketball cards, Pokemon cards, and presidents' autographs and things of that nature.
Yep.
So, and that's because I don't believe in the league's visions for most other leagues.
Wow.
I do have little stuff here and there, like I do collect some baseball, some like OG baseball guys that I like because it's history and everything. And I love the other sports. I love baseball. I love football. There
are some good stories in those too, man. And next time we talk to Trevor Bauer, his agent, I'd love to have her on.
She's awesome.
Rachel Luba, right? I mean, she's changing the way agents do their business. Instead of billing out crazy, take a percentage, doing hourly. That's the first woman-owned agent, agency. I mean, it's amazing. I have a daughter. It's somebody I'd like to hold out, as an example for my daughter. I reached out to her, but I'm sure she gets reached out to by a lot of people, on the internet. So next time we talk to Trevor, Buster, make that intro for me. I'd love to have her on because that's just an amazing thing what she's doing. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, if it's not Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, why are you investing in baseball? Baseball is not investing in their own people. They're actually standing in their own people's way. It's crazy.
I think there's a chance that they turn the corner on that and do things a little bit better. But hey, that's why we're talking basketball here.
Yeah, I mean, and just to put a point on it, right? And we'll get right into basketball and Pokemon, the whole deal. It's amazing that they have a campaign that said "Let the kids play," but their own contracts don't let the kids promote the play. I mean, it's just crazy, right? It really is. So it's an interesting point you bring up because I mean, I got more Tatis cards than I know what to do with, and I think he's great. He should be clippable. Like that's a guy who the MLB should be promoting, for as much as they can, and they just don't. It's just weird.
Totally,
just weird. Love it.
Agreed.
We did a poll, Buster. We did a poll, so for the Zion versus Trey debate. Okay, so if you look at their Prism PSA 10s, they're right around $700. So we wanted to poll the audience and see if you have $700, are you buying Trey or Zion? I want to get your take, but let me read a few of these responses because they're pretty good.
Both. I love it. Yeah. This is why he likes president's autographs because he's also going to be a politician one day. I'm buying both.
Watch out.
I vote for you.
I appreciate that.
So some people said, can see the ceiling for Trey, but not for Zion yet. Trey is the point guard of today's NBA, but Zion has generational talent and potential. Trey's haircut sucks. We haven't seen Zion's apex yet, but he's also the most hyped guy since LeBron. because Zion has only played 24 games and got hurt, and Trey has showed how he could dominate. So it was pretty divided.
What about the one
end.
where it said Trey has the hair of a 50-year-old, but Zion has the knees of one?
I didn't see that one.
You want to hear what I think about? I'm just going to tell you honestly what I think when you say that. I think in my head, I'm like Steph Curry versus Zion, right? Trae Young to me is Steph Curry. There's no doubt in my mind Trey will be Steph Curry. Do I want Steph Curry or do I want Zion? I don't know what Zion's going to be. I have no idea. I can't picture it. He's not LeBron. He's a very different player than LeBron, but he has that potential, that talent. I just don't see it yet. I don't know what it is. I believe he's going to be great. I don't know. Trey, I know what he is.
Cage, Scher.
If you guys clip that, I own a lot of Trae Young cards.
Yeah,
I like that. Cage, share why your hypothesis, your theory as to why the cards are the same price, even though Trey has 2 years of a track record versus Zion has basically nothing.
Yeah, remember, we're talking about investing $700 and buying a Prism base card. We're not talking about going out right now and buying a National Treasures RPA out of 99 and investing, what would be a high 5 to 6 figure potential card on, a high grade one of these guys. Something like that I might do, Trey, just to be a little safer. But here was my analysis.
But Zion RPAs have gone for higher than Trey's.
Yes,
just to contextualize that.
So. Yeah, but Trey's catching up, man. You see some of the most recent sales of his on his high graded stuff. I mean, you talk about like high grade Mickey Mantle rookie cards for Trey.
Lamine is pumping the market. We all know that, so it is what it is.
But so here was my analysis on it, Buster, and I think it kind of jives with what you were just saying. And it's if I got $700, there's upside to Trey, definitely there is. But I believe, if everything falls correctly for Zion, there's more upside for Zion. Now, you're right. I don't know what Zion's going to be, and I have a little more confidence in what Trey is going to be. I think he's going to be that Curry type of player. But Curry's card values have never approached, and I'm not saying Zion's going to be LeBron, but I'm saying he's going to be that.
Why that is? It's because Curry didn't play in the heat of the market, and he's not LeBron.
That's part of it. But I think Zion and Trey are both playing at the same time. I think Zion has the A factor, the alpha dog factor. You look at 2019, it's always Zion, and hey, can Ja really be as good as Zion? Right? Mm-hmm. You look at that draft class, and Zion's a 1. He's the lead dog, right? He's leading the Iditarod, he's the guy out in front, or he has the potential to be that. The Trey conversation has always been, what's Trey's multiple to Luka? Luka's always in the Scher. Luka's always going to be 2 times or 4 times, or let's see if Trey can really catch up to Luka. Trey's got almost a little bit of an underdog, mentality to him, which people buy, people invest in. But I find it hard investing in somebody who is not that alpha, not that lead guy. And if Trey's narrative is always going to be, can he be as good as Luka? Whereas Zion's going to be, he's the best, and who's going to be, catching up to him? That's part of it. The other part is, Trey has upside, Zion has upside, and I think if I'm going to invest $700, I want the one that could potentially go 5x or 10x instead of the one that can go 3x. Not that I think Zion is going to do that. I only own 1 Zion card. I own a ton of Trey, so I'll put that out there as well. I've actually started selling a little Trey, Buster. I'm sorry, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to move the money around. But I just think, what's up?
I've sold and bought more and sold. I've turned Treys into Jimmy Carter autos. Yeah.
Nice. So I recently turned a bunch of Trey and Devontae Graham into a Jerry Rice PSA 10 rookie.
Wow.
The 86.
That's a nice card.
Yep. So that was what I was doing with my stuff. So here's a fun one, right? So I think we understand, where we go on the Trey Zion. Here's my roll off of that one, right? Andrew made a great point going into football season. And you can use Trey, you can use Zion, you can use a lot of these guys. We've seen a run up in price, right? And Andrew's analysis is Kyler Murray. Now, I know you're not, knee deep in the football market, but if you look at charts, you'll see in the run up to the season, Kyler Murray was the darling, sort of what Trey has been in the run up to this season. Everybody's expecting big things. Everybody thinks it's going to be great. Now, since that Hail Mary, the team has kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's played at a really high level. And even if you take it back 3 weeks to the Hail Mary stuff, at that point in time, he was playing at really high level. He was in the MVP conversation, top 5 in the MVP. He'll probably still get some votes. And he's doing what I thought everybody expected him to do. He's playing well. Team's probably going to make the playoffs. You name it. They've taken a little step back now. But when we were having this conversation, I think he was doing everything that people thought he was going to do. And yet, if you took a snapshot of his card prices, where he was performing, and you took a snapshot of his card prices in the beginning of the season, they've come down. They're lower than what that run up in the initial was.
Mhm.
I'll give you another example of football. Josh Allen, what's his team? 9-3. I mean,
And he looks impressive.
Ridiculous season, better than anybody could have thought. I sold his cards in the preseason run up for more than what they're selling for now, and the guy's 9-3. So there is a question baked in here. Is it possible that Trey's cards, even though he does what people are thinking him to do in the middle of the season, when that euphoria, that fun, that run up now, is it possible that the middle of the season becomes a buying opportunity?
It's so funny. This is something that the LeBron Chrome,
Yep.
What happened there during the playoffs and during the finals and after the finals, that taught me it made me think about, high-end cards and just all that stuff in a different form. People like buying the potential more than they like buying the result.
100%.
Because everybody's now an investor and they want to ride the rise rather than pick the winners at the top. And that is so interesting to me because for the longest time, I thought that, people buy the best of the best after they're the best of the best because they're the best of the best. And I think that only happens once it's over, once there's no more road to ride. LeBron still has a bit of a road, to drive down and try to go back to back. So people, but after he won, he had reached that end of the road. People felt like they had done it. It was done. But now it's starting to heat back up. And that's why I went from 9-13 now.
That's right. It's the potential that makes it go up rather than the actual accomplishment. In the street, no, I was never investing in Wall Street like Andrew, but I did own a little hot dog cart and sell some stuff to the guys in the suits. No, on the street, they say buy the rumor, sell the news. Right. So the stock goes up on the thought.
That's a great line. I've never heard that.
Yep. Buy the rumor, sell the news. Right. So that's the story, right? Like, the rumor is that Moderna is coming out with a vaccine for COVID. You buy on that rumor, and when the news actually hits, you sell on it, right? So the run up is that
you buy
rumor,
that PSA 10 COVID vaccine.
Yeah, exactly. That's the deal, right? So but what you notice, and we've seen the same thing with LeBron, right? People were buying in the run up in the bubble at $12,000, $14,000, $15,000, and I had so many messages saying, "Hey, when he wins, you think it's going to hit 60? You think it's going to hit 20? It's going to keep going up?" I said, "No, I think when he wins, it's going to hit 11." I think it's not. It's not a time where you buy. Everybody's buying in. If everybody's buying at 15 to hope to sell at 20, that is the exact wrong time to be buying it because everybody's buying in for the wrong reason. And we saw it, by the way, it's not just LeBron. We saw it with Mahomes when he won the Super Bowl. Same exact thing. It actually dropped off after he won. The accomplishment is actually a time where the price goes down. It's the craziest thing in the world, Buster.
I really think the worst way to buy cards is to buy for somebody expecting them to do something. Because that is literally a gamble. That's bet. Right. Don't do that. I'm not a fan of that because it means you're going to either sell right after or lose money. That's not fun. Nobody likes that. Buy things that you want to hold for a long time or that you really believe in and love.
How do you decide
Jimmy Carter?
Yeah, I was going to ask that. How do you decide which president's autographs you buy?
Well, I'm not. If I was a billionaire, I would have all of them. And I would go from the beginning to the end in that order. I would buy Washington, Adams,
Andrew Jefferson, Lincoln,
Jefferson for sure.
Can I ask you, who's Andrew Jefferson? Lincoln. Did you just say Andrew Jefferson?
He said,
is that not him? Andrew. He's a president.
It's Jefferson, but it's not Andrew.
It's actually Richard Jefferson, one of the founding fathers. Richard Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
You think I'm going to get torched by our community? I don't know any movie lines, and I don't know presidents.
I was gonna let it slide too.
I'm not. There's no way I'm letting that slide.
I wasn't
Yesterday, he didn't know A Few Good Men. He didn't know the movie A Few Good Men. He's never seen it. Can you believe that?
So Thomas Jefferson's pretty expensive, though.
Yeah, Jefferson's autos are crazy.
Although it's interesting because in today's age, like similarly, the big thing that affects presidents' values going way back is how society looks back at them. So Jefferson owned, a lot of slaves and had dentures of slaves' teeth, if I'm not mistaken. That doesn't reflect very well today. So that's actually hurt his values a little bit because he's been like retroactively canceled 250 years after he died.
So what you're telling me is at some point in time, someone's going to find out something bad about Charizard and all the stuff we were saying about him. It's going to go. It's going to be Charizard was collecting something bad.
That's a great point, but it's not the case. But that is something to be cognizant of when looking back and investing a ton of money in like old beginning time presidents. Although long term, I think they're all going to be all right. But Lincoln, because of how he's on everything that I just described of Jefferson, Lincoln is the opposite. He freed all the slaves. It reflects incredibly well on him and all of his actions throughout his presidency.
Be careful, Buster. One day people are going to wake up and realize Lincoln was a Republican, and they're all going to sell.
Well, the parties meant very different things back then, but that aside, so it's about what this is my preface for my 2036 campaign. It's not about what party you're part of; it's about what you do. And Lincoln did obviously. You don't get a statue of you without doing some great, or a monument of you without doing some great things. So his values have been shooting up a lot in the last few years.
Yep, love it. So it's a great segue, right? So we have presidential autographs. I actually gave Joe Biden card.
I was gonna say you're not.
I gave a Joe Biden card as a play. We give a play every episode, our daily episode. 2008 tops Joe Biden. I have a Joe Biden rookie card. I give as a play.
I have it. I have the gold version.
The gold. See, I said if you're feeling saucy, go out and get a gold one. 100%.
Gold. I love it. You know what I paid for it?
Oh, I don't know. I think when I bought mine, I paid like $11.
I beat you on that.
Nice.
$2.
Well, see, this is what happens, Buster. When I give a play, I give our audience time to buy them. They run the price up, and then when I get into buy them, usually 3-4 days later, price has already gone up. So I don't try to run ahead of my guys.
That's the opposite of pump and dump. They are pumping you.
They're pumping me, but it's only fair. I never want to be accused of that stuff. That's like the worst thing I see on the internet. So I tell our people, I'm not buying them. You guys go buy them, and then I'll try to buy them. If you guys I give them like a cooling off period, like a 3-day window.
But my favorite guy to buy, I can't say it. Never mind. I like all presidents. I was going to say something I shouldn't have said.
Oh, now you can't. Now at least make something up. You can't leave us hanging. Is it Andrew Jefferson?
Bro, if I had Lincoln's the save us by in presidents.
What's so funny is his name's Andrew Jackson. You could have easily led me to water. That's what a good co-host does.
You combined two. I would never have said. I
didn't even know you meant Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know you meant Andrew Jackson either. I thought you meant Thomas Jefferson. You had one first name and one last name.
Well, right. I was going. The reason why is because I was going in order. I said Washington, Adams, and then you said Andrew. So I mean, he must have meant Thomas Jefferson, but at least he said Jefferson.
Right. I mean, Andrew's favorite president, he hasn't told you this yet, is actually George Lincoln. So on to the fun stuff, right? So we got some good things to talk about. So we covered all of your collection here, but talk to me. I have a question for you. This is a personal question, right? So Pokémon. We had you on and you gave us that, great quotes, Charizard can't go out and get a DUI, he can't hurt his ACL. You had a great spin on that. And Charizard is flying. We've seen multiple record sales. Every time that PSA 10 first edition Charizard comes up for sale, it set a new record. I think as of this morning, the one that's up for sale is $300,000. Just an amazing, amazing thing. So here's my question for you, because you know the market. I mean, invest in Charizard. What about the rest of that set? Right. And we'll talk about PSA 9s in a second. Here's my backdrop for you, right? Bunch of layers to this question. Number one, that PSA 10 set, it has flown since we all talked. I don't know how much of it you have, you name it. But I think besides Charizard, some of the prices got a little ahead of themselves, right, on the PSA 10s. Mm-hmm. That's first. So the other hollows, the other cards, the Pikachu Red chip.
There are a couple of reasons that happened that weren't totally legitimate, but yeah, I'll
all right.
That in a minute.
So I'd love to hear that. And then number two, just the steps down from that. So we'll comment on the other 10s that are not Charizard, and then we'll comment on the 9s, the Unlimiteds, the ones that really ran, and those have had what I consider a significant pullback. So talk to me about what's happened since we last chatted in the market, and then what do you think going forward it's going to look like?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. After we spoke, Logan Paul did this really big break. He got 20 million, viewers, and he broke a box. And he had an expert by him that was giving out prices that weren't real. He was saying that things were selling for 2x sometimes what they actually were. Cards that are a $20,000 card. Oh yeah, it's a $40,000 card right there. $40,000 card. Let's go.
You mean a Tom Brady Mosaic Nebula isn't worth $150,000?
I mean a PSA 9 Bulbasaur is not a $40,000 card. Or Venusaur or whatever. But so I think that, jotted things up a bit. There was a lot of hype, a lot of new people. And when new people come in, that's when prices go all over the place. People don't do their research. I've heard, you guys have heard a lot of people say, you gotta put in your few weeks, months research before you go out spending your own money. And listen to podcasts like these. But I think so that got people a little bit ahead of themselves. And then the reality, set back in addition to a lot of the people who had been holding their cards forever, they finally saw an exit point. Yep. So they started selling, and now the people who missed the boat aren't willing to budge down as much and sell for reduced prices. So they're holding. So we've now kind of figured a new floor, and now it's just going to go up from
there. Listen, I agree from there. I agree from that. I think that's 100% right. I think you'll see this with almost everything, right? When prices go up, I think you can say the same thing, Buster, and you tell me if I'm wrong, for what happened with the basketball vintage market. You had a commodity that doesn't have games being played. Charizard does not have games being played. You have I equate them to vintage. You talk about your Kareems, those kind of cards, right? The Wilt Chamberlains, the Bill Russells, and they had a run up for whatever reason, whether it was, Gary Vee talking them up, whether, just a lot more publicity being brought on them, or what I like to call the rising tide lifting it, where if modern cards went up so much and people are paying $10,000 for a Luka, you got to look to Bill Russell. You got to look to Wilt Chamberlain and say, this guy's a bargain now compared to the modern stuff. But there were people who were holding these cards, and they saw the run up and said, all right, you know what? It's an exit point, just like you said on the Pokemon stuff. And what you see there, it's economics, right? We always talk supply and demand. When there's no supply and there's demand, the price goes up. When the price goes up, all of a sudden, the demand will start to increase. I mean, the supply will increase because there's people who will come out of the woodworks who are
this magical thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the way it works, right? So all of a sudden now if you were to look 6 months ago and see how many first edition PSA 10 hollows there were available on eBay, there were a handful. Now there's dozens.
I got to stop Cage right here, guys. Yep. If you're listening to this episode, go back to the Chris Hodge episode we did, where Cage and Chris talk about the Jordan market. Yep. And how the Jordan market in March saw a run up, and then you saw a flood of supply in April as the last dance was going on. So if you want a little bit of a preview into the Jordan market, that episode does a really good job.
I can take you with Jordan back to like 2017 and give you the price peaks and valleys on that and tell you why and when and what the prices are. And it's the same thing with Jordan. It's a great point, Andrew, because with Jordan, with the last dance and with the recent sales that came with that one last year, there was an increase in supply. And people saw it was a 6-figure card when 2 years prior it was $25,000, as many as you wanted. And all of a sudden there were people who came out and said, I'm going to sell this. And you saw it go 116 early this year. And I think it was a golden auction. And then it started to inch back down. You saw it on PWCC selling the 80s, 85, because people said it was a $100,000 card. And all of a sudden people went to their bank vaults, pulled them out and sold them. Those got gobbled up and then you don't see them anymore. And then all of a sudden for the last 2 months, there were none on eBay. I looked. There are none for sale. And that's what happens. That supply that came in, that temporary supply glut, like we're seeing right now with Pokemon, just like you said, Buster, it comes out there, people grab them, they get put in someone else's vault, they get put in somebody else's collection and get locked and keyed. And in a month or 2 or 3, that supply that looks like it's there now, driving the prices down a little bit, will be gone and prices will start to go back up. I think the same thing will happen with vintage. I think it's already started to happen with basketball vintage. You couldn't find a Wilt Chamberlain rookie, and then all of a sudden when the price went up, you could find dozens of them. Well, those dozens will be gone, and there'll be a new, like you said, new floor. Love it.
Guys, let me ask you. So that applies to vintage basketball and Pokemon, two proven markets. What about soccer? Soccer saw hype, a run up, but it's not as proven of a sports card market. Buster, do you see that having the same kind of return to its peak, to its glory days?
Let me preface this with I am no soccer card expert. I bought 2014 World Cup complete sets before the spike, saw everything go crazy, saw Mbappe is going for $6,000, saw Messi and Ronaldo at $4 or $5,000 for PSA 10 2014 World Cup cards and dropped back down to 1,000. I saw it all happen. I was a part of a little bit of it on the sense of buying. I didn't sell anything during that, and haven't ever sold any soccer for that matter. But what I will say is Panini as a brand, they are $1 billion brand because of soccer. Not because of basketball, not because of baseball, not because of their licenses here in the United States. They're $1 billion brand because of soccer stickers in Europe. That was their bread and butter. When Panini was founded in the mid 1950s or whatever it was, maybe even earlier, they were founded based on their proprietary sticker printing and sticker making capabilities, and their licenses with the players and the teams for all of the big, most popular soccer teams and European soccer teams, in the world. And that combined with their genius business plan behind getting kids and people to collect the stickers of the players and try to fill out books, getting every single one, and the mathematical probabilities within to get each. If you bought a pack with 10 of them, with 10 guys in it, you get 10 guys. Those are all new. But then the second one, you start getting duplicates and triplicates and quadruplicates and things like that. So that you keep buying more and more and more packs to get a very small subset of stickers. And it doesn't make sense to buy the individual ones on eBay because of shipping and there's different things. That's why they're $1 billion brand. So if 1% of that translates over to real soccer cards, I think soccer cards have that Zion upside.
It's amazing. The only thing I could say on it, right, is we've started a lot of Instagram chats with Luka Nation, right, and we have people from all different countries, and what I've noticed, and I try to ask people questions, because I don't live in Hong Kong, I live in New York, but I love to know what the collectors from our groups in Hong Kong are thinking, what they're seeing. What they tell me, they don't buy baseball, they buy basketball. They love the current modern basketball market, but second to that, it's soccer. If they're buying something else, they're buying soccer, it's interesting, right? They don't care about American baseball. They're not buying tennis cards as some people will tell you to buy. They're not buying Roger Federer. I asked about Pokemon, and at least in Hong Kong, at least this individual is telling me no. It's told me about basketball. It's Kobe, it's Jordan, and for some reason they like Vince Carter. But it's soccer, which we've heard about this, right, Buster? You've heard about it. I mean, we're not the first podcast to mention this. It's been mentioned a million times. Soccer's a global sport. It's growing. It's huge. It's got that huge brand. I just don't know about it transferring over to cards. I don't. It's never been a card thing. Even the cards of the greats, that's one of the cool things that the other sports have, right? It's a legacy, right? It's a track record. You want to buy baseball, you can go back to the 1800s to buy baseball cards. You go back to, you got the T206 is over 100 years old, the tobacco cards, Honus Wagner. You got the Mickey Mantle to lean on. Andrew makes fun of it. You got handsome George Mikan in his glasses in the 40s with a legit basketball.
He's growing on me. I'm kind of thinking, I could get down with this card. This is kind of cool.
George
At
Mikan,
first, I was
right?
like, what is going on? This guy's in cargo shorts and a belt.
But you try to find soccer cards. You tell me what the Pele rookie looks like. Picture that in your brain. And first of all, about half the people who collect can't picture it, and the other half who are picturing it are picturing something different than the person next to them. Because there's like 14 different cards. And some of them look like a postage stamp. I sold one that's like an inch by an inch. I mean, it's just crazy what these things are. And
Darren Ravel doesn't like that card cage.
I know. I know. He gives me.
You guys
a hard
had
time.
Darren on yet?
No. But we'd love to. We'd like to.
You gotta have Darren on. He's the best.
We'd love to get Darren on. I posted a picture of a Pele card I owned, and he's like, I don't like it. Looks like it got cut out of a magazine. Meanwhile, the card sold for what did it sell for? $300,000. Not mine. A PSA 9
really?
sold for like $300,000. Yeah, it's the.
Wow.
The
It looks like it looks like a Polaroid photo, but it's like 1 inch by 1 inch. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, to each his own. That's what makes cards fun, right? You don't have to collect all sports. You don't have to collect all types. And if Darren Ravel doesn't like it, but he happens to like the rock tuna fish card that's perforated, to each his own.
Darren,
you know what I mean?
thought Darren bought a chess championship ticket, and I was
That's
just
cool.
like, yeah, it's the best. I love it.
Well, isn't there a TV show
I want a
now,
Gary
right?
Kasparov card. I want a Gary Kasparov card and a Bobby Fischer card.
You guys don't even want to know like some of the random stuff. Like I bought 15 Kylie Jenner autos the other day. Who the hell have I turned it? Like what am I anymore? Like what am I doing with my?
Hey, you see this card? Do you know what this is?
What is that?
That's buckwheat.
Oh my God.
They got cards for everything.
Jeez. I bought, it was a Leaf Pop Century cut autos from her book because I saw that A, none of her autographs are on eBay. B, she's super undervalued for having 200 million followers on Instagram,
Right.
a huge female fan base. And C, it was pre-authenticated because it was put out by Leaf, and I'm going to get them all sent off to Beckett and double authenticated. But for $20 each, I was like, oh, snap. Kylie Jenner is a buy.
Yeah.
So I bought friggin' 15 of them.
Youngest billionaire entrepreneur. That's a female, right?
That was fake news.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean,
It's amazing though, but that's what I love about cards.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're buying Kylie Jenner. I mean, Andrew buys nothing but Kobe.
What am I
Kobe
doing?
for breakfast and Kobe for
I
dinner.
feel so ridiculous. That was one where I bought I bought Elvis Presley, Stevie
that.
Wonder from 1969 Panini Canty, and like all those sorts of things. This Kylie buy, I was like, what am I doing? But it's still a great investment because I know it's going to work out. But I was like, what am I doing?
I mean, if nothing else, you'll buy enough of those. You'll post a picture one day. She'll block you because clearly you're a stalker who has more of her autographs than she has. And, it'll be a problem for you, but it'll be a good story.
Oh, no.
Buster.
We met one time.
Uh-oh, that's a story. Let's go.
Oh,
No, it was at a concert. We were in like the same. I went to a Travis Scott concert because just back then with Aaron Judge, and we were in the back area, and she was just in front of us with like her whole security detail, which was like 30 people.
I love what Travis Scott did with McDonald's. So on to the
He's the most brilliant rapper of all time.
So I love, and I mentioned him on our previous episodes, Charlie. He's an Instagram account, and I've used some of the things that he talks about in my life, and I think it helps with sports cards. And he talks about, I'm on a winning streak. He created this I'm on a winning streak movement. But Buster, I want to ask you about your movement. So Buster has this no days off season movement that I highly recommend people get into. Yeah, dude, you look strong. I'm not gonna lie. You look like you've got older. Your shoulders got stronger, but it's not about complimenting you here. Because I knew Cage is going to get weird and make weird faces.
I can leave.
Dude, he's been putting in work. He's been putting in work since we last spoke.
What's the movement called? It's called what?
I want him to explain.
No days off season.
Sounds like my podcast here. Sounds like our podcast, Andrew. We got no days off season here. This guy doesn't give me he doesn't give me a break, Buster. Since July 17th.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
no
what it
days
takes.
Off season.
That's what it takes. You're trying to be the Michael Jordan of podcasting. That's what it takes.
Not trying. We are.
Fine, I'll go. Since you guys, I think there's something extremely special about doing something every day. So like I played sports my whole life, but I always copped out. I always said I needed a day off every week. I always had that cop out. And as soon as we started doing this podcast every day, it's like a switch. I think it flicks a switch. There's no days off. I'm committed to this 100% of the time. And I think there's a real benefit to it. I think the benefit is actually more mental than physical. But I wanted Buster to talk about it and hear his perspective. He's been doing it, and he created this movement and changed lives. He's helped so many people, and I wanted him to share that with our community.
Yeah, so I think it's more about creating the new pathways in your brain. When you do anything enough and for a long enough time, your brain creates these new, pathways that sort of eliminate that cop-out mentality that everybody has for things that they don't do every day. For things that I don't do every day, hell yeah, I have that. I'm trying to think of whatever a good example is, but like, let's say checking emails. I don't check my emails every day. I'll go through and sift and respond to important ones when I see notifications, but I don't do that. Whereas, podcasting, working out, things like that, eating healthy, that's something that I don't take days off of. And because of that, I don't mess up. So I think, but it's also, a self, a self dependency that it puts on, and there are always levels to go up. So like for me, I stopped taking days off from working out 8 or 9, 10 months ago, and people will say, you need to take days off, you need to rest. I haven't stopped in 10 months and I feel better than ever. It's about the stuff you do around it. Do you take care of yourself? Do you eat healthy? Things like that. What are your workouts? Like
I love this.
a
I love
walk.
this.
A
Great.
walk can be your workout. It doesn't have to be a sprint and lift 300-pound weights. Like no days off season doesn't mean push yourself to the point of breaking every single day. It means work out. For me, it means 1,000 calories burned every single day. And that can come in the form of cardio from a walk. It can also be hill sprints and weights and crazy pull-ups and push-ups and things like that, but it doesn't have to be every day. So a day off for me is still a day on, if that makes sense. And that's what no day off sees me.
Listen, I like it because you're flexible in it, right? You're and you have to give yourself that flexibility, because somebody like me, I'm all about the cheat day. And the cheat day is exactly the opposite of what you're talking about, right? If you go hard, you're like, oh, I'm working now 6 days towards that cheat day of the diet, right? Then I can eat whatever I want. I don't have to go to the gym. The problem is the cheat day becomes cheat year for me. 2020 has been a cheat year. I don't go to the gym.
So build in, what I would say is build in the cheat day into if your cheat day is Sunday, build that into your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What I mean by that is if your no days off season is 1,000 calories, make it 1,400 for the 3 days afterwards, and you'll eventually cancel it out yourself.
Yep. You'll
either cancel it out or
you
won't want to do it anymore.
You won't want to do it because you're killing yourself on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. I like it. Look, I think it's great. My co-host here has tried to tap out a couple times. Hey, you don't want to do an episode today? And I'm like, come on,
it's
dude.
Always Saturday. It's always Saturday at 2 p.m. where I'm like, maybe we take a rest day. Our Luka Nation has enough content.
Also, by the way, that Federer hat, you saw the big news that he just got his logo back from Nike, right? Or did you not?
Really?
Yes.
This is top 5 logos, I think, in the game.
Right. So crazy story about that hat, which is why I was so impressed that you were wearing it today. So Nike had the trademark for the Roger Federer logo. Uniqlo tried to get it to. The reason he hasn't worn that logo in 2 years is because Nike owned it and he went, with Uniqlo. Uniqlo just got it from Nike. So after 2 years of Federer not being able to wear his own logo, he has it back.
Let's go. And Uniqlo, I'll tell you guys, I've always been a Nike guy. Uniqlo is some really nice stuff. They have some really nice workout gear. I like their style a lot.
Very soft and cheap, and I like both those things. I am both of those things.
I got to give a shout out to my dad. My dad's a big tennis guy. He's actually flying in tomorrow, so I'm excited for him to get here. But this is his hat, so thank you,
G-Man. Not excited for him to beat you in tennis, which is going to happen.
He's not going to beat me in tennis. He's not going to beat. He doesn't believe in the no days off season.
They're not a competitive family at all. But
I say, Dad, you're only 55. You lived half your life. Like you can have the body of your lifetime. You can live your dream life. You could still be as physically fit as you want. He doesn't believe me. So
it's 100% true. The thing about no days off season too is you will have an advantage over every single other person that isn't on no days off season.
I think, guys, so it takes about a month, 2 months, depending on the habit, to build the habit. Why no days off season is so powerful, I think, and I recommend you guys to get into this. Whatever it is, the habit that you want, is it making the bed? Is it washing dishes every morning? Is it going for a 5-mile run? Post a story, hashtag no days off season, tag Buster. And it's this interesting way through a community that you could hold yourself accountable. So I highly recommend, if you've been thinking of getting involved, hashtag no days off season and tag Buster.
And there's a GIF on Instagram too, or a GIF, whatever you want to call it. If you type it in search, or you can get like a cool little sticker that says no days off season. But I think, also to add to that, well, first off, it sounds like we're talking about a new religion here, which is, I'm not a religious person, but the closest thing to a religion that I do, align myself with is no days off season, because I think all the good things that some people get from religion, feeling better and feeling empowered and feeling like a greater purpose, things like no days off season will bring. So that's my religion. It's
So I'm not going to let you off the hook. I'm going to give you no minutes off season here. I'm gonna ask you a couple quick questions on sports cards. I'm gonna bring it all right back in, and because I think you have a unique insight into this stuff. I think you have your finger on the pulse and the whole deal. So you might not have answers for them. I don't like that rapid fire stuff. I think it's cheap, but I actually want to research the questions here. So give me one guy from this year's draft class that you are looking forward to. Not that you think is going to outperform, that buy low. If you have that, that's great. But somebody you want to watch play this year, somebody, who you're excited about coming into the NBA.
I mean, the honest answer is Obi, because I'm a huge Knicks fan, and I think we got him pretty good.
So you probably don't listen to every one of my episodes, but Andrew will tell you, I think I sold him on Obi as well. I love the above the rim play. I think he fits really well with the team. I think he's going to mesh really well with what they have there.
He's like young Amare a little bit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you excited for Tom Thibodeau too?
We'll see. I hope so. He's an amazing coach, but obviously there's both sides of the coin with him.
Yep. So I'm gonna take RJ Barrett off of the potential answers, because I can't let you just answer all Knicks. You can't be that big of a homer. But from last year's draft class, somebody you think is going to take a step up this year, and might not be in the MIP conversation, but somebody like that, somebody you think is going to outperform what they did the year before. Can't say Barrett. I know you want it.
I'm not gonna say. I wasn't gonna say RJ. Last year's draft class that'll outperform. I think Ja's gonna have a great year. I mean, he was obviously rookie year last year, but
yep.
I think Steven Adams going to New Orleans, and I own a lot of this man's cards. So let me preface my answer with that as, if I said an answer and I didn't have their cards, it would mean I was lying to you. So Steven Adams going to New Orleans will be so beneficial for Jackson Hayes.
Ooh,
because
okay.
Him there, playing against him every single day, making him stronger, making him better, will be a huge benefit.
So it's funny, Jackson Hayes, because I've watched a lot of breaks, with people buying into big products, national treasures, you name it. And Jackson Hayes, he's affectionately known by people who break products as the wrong Pelican.
Right.
Because everybody
I'll take them all.
You'll take them all. You take all of the Jackson Hayes, and you think
Hayes.
He helps. Why? Because Hayes is not a bulky big man, so he's not going to play the role that Aquaman's going to play, but it's going to allow him to be more of an offensive threat.
That, and also it's going to make him a little bit more of the former.
Okay, all right, I like that. So Luka Trey.
And
this is
I just
like
him as a guy. Good.
Yeah,
dude.
you like him. All right.
I'm also biased to people that have been on my podcast, so
that's always helpful. This is why we like you. If you had a card, I'd buy it, but you don't. Not yet.
They're gonna be Buster cards, so we're gonna have to. If those don't sell well, I'm gonna be pushing people. I don't want any myself. I just want them to do well.
I'll buy them. It's actually an idea I gave to Andrew. Also, people are asking for us, like Alan and Ginter has like dual autographs. It was like a chip and Joanna Gaines. People are like, we got to do like a.
I bought a Darren Ravel auto the other day. I sent it to him. And he was like, awesome. Driving up the Darren Ravel market.
Darren, I love his breaks of the wrestling cards, just stuff that I haven't seen since I was a kid. And he'll open like an 85 WWF pack. And I'm like, oh my God, Wendy Richter. And people are like, who the hell is that? And I'm like, all right, I'm old. Yeah. Leave me alone.
Like Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones.
Ford rookies.
Exactly.
I just bought a bunch of like old wax stuff, so I'm going to do some similar. But yeah, he's the man.
That's fun to watch, just because, the people who have got into this hobby the last couple of years, they don't even know that stuff exists. And quote unquote junk wax, some of that stuff is still fun to open, and may make a little bit of a comeback because nobody kept it. That's also, the thing.
The thing about boxes, the thing about sealed stuff, The population goes down, not up.
Yep.
In perpetuity.
Yep. Everybody's open and stuff. So one more basketball question, then I'll do a Pokemon for you. Basketball. Luka, Trey. I know you're a Trey guy, right? Does it ever get to a world where Trey's prices catch up to Luka? No. No, not even close.
I don't see that happening. Luka's once in a lifetime. Trey is 3 times in a lifetime.
All right. So there's your multiple for you. All right, Pokemon. You mentioned Logan Paul. I wasn't going to bring him up. I read recently that he was out of Pokemon cards already. And so as it's like Kaiser Sose, right? And poof, he's gone. Did he really come in and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, make this multi-million?
He's not selling his cards, so he's always in it.
Right.
But I think he also said that because too many people were like hitting him up about it. So that's my theory, but I don't know. Logan.
So stay in the shadows a little.
Yeah.
So I mean, do we think Pokemon is here to stay? What's your thoughts for Pokemon for the next 12 months and then going forward? I'm not going to ask you what you see 10 years from now, because by the way, we've had 150 something episodes in less than 5 months. And it's one of the lines, you don't even remember this, because trust me, you don't remember our podcast. I remember you. But one of the lines, Andrew asked you, what do you see? What does 10 years from now look like to you? And you said, it looks like 2030. It was you didn't even mean it. It was the funniest thing I've ever said. It looks like 2030. Done. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not falling into that trap. Tell me what the Pokemon market looks like to you for the next 12 months and then beyond.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because he just laid it up there for you. Like, tell me what 10 years from now looks like for you. And you're like, it looks like 2030. And I was like, oh, God. So 12 months, the next 12 months, Pokemon, take a little bit of step back. You think we do some consolidation and go up? Talk about the modern market or just the older stuff. Where do you see it?
I think we don't have any of these drastic swings like we just did going forward. They're not as extreme, but given the power players in Pokemon, here's my thought, right? Justin Bieber is a Pokemon collector.
Yeah.
An avid. There are a lot of really names that people don't know about publicly who are in Pokemon that one day will start talking. And
right.
That will only drive more people. But that's like a mini short-term-ish thing. Long-term, it's practically as good as gold.
Wow. Love it. All right, so we got you on basketball. We got you on
the right stuff, though, not unlimited, not the unlimited crap where they overproduced it. I'm talking about first edition, base set, shadowless, high grade. That's
right.
It.
So that's an important thing that Buster just threw out there, right? Because people didn't realize that. They thought a Charizard is a Charizard. You saw the picture, you thought the same card, but there's a very big difference between an unlimited Charizard, which I think at some point we're jumping up to like $30,000-$40,000.
Highest. Well, unlimited Charizard is the highest population card in all of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Out of everything.
Pikachu,
everything. Like, this is the highest population card. There are too many of them. That's why they went from 10,000 to 2,000 in like a month.
Yep. It really is an amazing thing, and it's a cautionary tale, right? We've seen so many of those this year. The run up, and then all of a sudden the correction, the supply and demand correction. It's just it's crazy. So we saw it with Project 2020. Those cards started off, they were making 12 of them, and then all of a sudden there was 100,000 of these ugly, calligraphy cards.
Their Topps is incredible.
They know what they're doing. They definitely know what they're doing.
Right.
Well, listen, we appreciate having you on. We thank you for coming on, and NBA season. We'll come back to you on this one, but give me a prediction. I'll let you end with that. You think LeBron can repeat? You think this is Giannis's year? What do you think?
The Lakers win, unless the Nets are able to put something together for Harden. But you'll be able to tell me whether I was right or wrong when you're listening to this. But yeah, LeBron's gonna repeat. That's my prediction.
Do you think the Nets make a run at Harden?
So supposedly.
All right. Well, my son is a Net fan, but for the wrong reason. He likes Kyrie, and I haven't figured Kyrie out yet.
I will say I like Kyrie's prices. For a 2012 Prism rookie, first year of Prism, for him to be the same price as like a Trae Young, it's interesting.
So we talk about that all the time. We talk about take a look at prior years, right? Take a look at some of these guys, especially with the low pop. And when I think that's where vintage, and it's funny, Kyrie is clearly not vintage, but it's now becoming a 10-year-old card. I think that's where the market will go. I think your analysis you just did there is exactly what's going to continue to bring up the prices. When people are paying $700 for a Trey base rookie, well, then you can buy. I mean, Klay Thompson is a bad example because he's injured now, but Klay's $500. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's you gotta look at that, right? And that goes back
to champ.
Yeah,
like a real champ.
Yep, multi-champ. But he's injured, and it goes back to exactly what you talked about at the beginning, and we'll end it with it. For whatever reason, right now the buying is on potential, not on what you've done for me. It's what you are going to do for me, or what I think you might do coming forward. And it's dangerous, guys, because of this draft class, and everybody's buying all these guys. Do you know how many of these guys are definitely going to pan out? No, I don't either. And chances are it's not as many as you think, and it's not everybody you're investing in.
Nope. It's interesting when you can get real good deals on Damian Lillard and Kyrie for like vintage gray prism. I think those are places to look.
Yep. I love it. Thanks, Buster. We appreciate having you on. We'll grab you back on again, whenever your schedule allows. It's always great talking to you. And it's funny because I left the last one the same way. I feel like when we speak to you, I'm more confident about investing in cards. It's the funniest thing, right? And I hope our audience gets that from listening to you as well, because it's well thought out. You have some insight into the NBA, the backdrop of the NBA. You're confident in their commissioner, confident in the product they're putting out there. And people are really putting some legit money into the NBA. And I think, after hearing from you, it's money well spent as long as you're putting it in the right places.
It's almost like I've worked for the NBA. Oh, wait. No, I really appreciate you having me. And man, this is literally the most fun in this last year with cards that I've ever had with a hobby. So
let's hope that continues.
I love us all sharing in that.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Luka's, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.